221, roll of thunder, hear my cry. Papa laughed strangely. Ain't this something? Them Wallaces aim a gun in my head and I get my leg broke. And my boy's blaming himself for it. Why, I feel like taking a bull whip to all three of them Wallaces and not stopping till my arm gets so tired I can't raise it one more time. You sounded like Hammer. Am I? Well, a lot of times I feel like doing things Hammer's way. I think I'd get a powerful lot of satisfaction from whipping Kaleb Wallace and them brothers of his. Hammer's way would get you killed, and you know it. So stop talking like that. Don't we already have enough to worry about? Besides, both Thurston and Dewberry Wallace are still laid up, so I hear. Some folks even say the Dewberry's back is broken. In any case, Mr. Morrison must have hurt them pretty bad. Where is he, by the way? I haven't seen him this morning. There was an instant of silence before Mama answered. Out looking for work again since dawn. He ain't gonna find nothing around here. I told him that. I know, agreed Mama. But he says he's got to try, David. Mama stopped. When she spoke again, her voice had grown faint as if it hesitated to say what was on her mind. David, don't you think he ought to go? I don't want him to. But after what he did to the Wallaces, I'm afraid for him. He knows what could happen, Mary, but he wants to stay, and frankly, we need him here. Don't pester him about it. But David, if... Before Mama could finish, I spied Mr. Morrison coming west from Smellings Creek. I left the step and hurried to meet him. Hey, Mr. Morrison. Hello, Mr. Morrison, I shouted as Jack pulled the wagon up the drive. Hello, Cassie, Mr. Morrison greeted me. Your papa awake? Yes, sir. He's still out of bed this morning. He's sitting out of bed this morning. Did not tell you nothing could keep him down. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you did. He stepped from the wagon and walked toward the house. Mr. Morrison, you want me to unhitch Jack for you? No, Cassie, leave him be. I got to talk to your papa, then I'll be back. Hey, old Jack, I said, patting the mule as I watched Mr. Morrison enter the side door. I thought of returning to my seat on the steps, but decided against it. Instead, I remained with Jack, thoughtfully digesting all I had heard until Mr. Morrison came from the house. He went to the barn, then reappeared with the planter, a plow-like tool with a small round container for dropping seeds attached to his middle. He put the planter in the back of the wagon. Where you going, Mr. Morrison? Down to Mr. Wiggins' place. I seen Mr. Wiggins this morning. He asked to use your papa's planter. He ain't got no wagon, so I told him I'd ask your papa, and if it was all right, I'd bring it to him. Ain't it kind of late for seeding? Well, not for what he got in mind. He thought he'd plant himself some summer corn. It'll be ready come September. Mr. Morrison, can I go with you? I asked as I climbed up on the wagon. Well, I'd be right pleased for your company, Cassie, but you have to ask your mama. I ran back to the house. The boys were now in Mama and Papa's room, and when I asked if I could go up to Little Willie's with Mr. Morrison, Little Man and Christopher John, of course, wanted to go too. Mr. Morrison said he'll be right back, Mama. Well, don't you get in his way, Stacy, you going? Stacy sat across from Papa, looking despondently at the broken leg. Come on, son, said Papa gently. There's nothing to do here. Give you a chance to talk to Little Willie. You sure there's ain't nothing I can do for you, Papa? Just go and have yourself a good ride over to Little Willie's. Since it'd been my idea to ask to go, I claimed the seat beside Mr. Morrison, and the boys climbed in the back. Little Willie's family lived on their own 40 acres about 2 miles east of Great Faith. It was a fine morning for a ride, and 6 miles they sped by quickly, with Mr. Morrison singing in his bassiest of bass voices, and Christopher John, Little Man, and me joining wherever we could as we passed cotton fields of bloom and flowers of white and red and pink. Stacy, being in one of his moods and not singing, we let him be. We stayed less than an hour at the Wiggins farm, then headed on home. We had just passed Great Faith and were approaching the Jefferson Davis School Road when a ragged pickup came into view. Very quietly, Mr. Morrison said, Cassie, get in the back. But why, Mr. Moore? Do quick, Cassie, like I say. His voice was barely above a friendly whisper, but there was an urgency in it, and I obeyed, scrabbling over the seat to join the boys. Y'all stay down now. The truck braked noisily with a grating shriek of steel. We stopped. The boys and I peeped over the edge of the wagon. The truck had veered across the road, blocking us. The truck's door swung open and Kaleb Wallace stepped on out, pointing a long, condemning finger to Mr. Morrison. He swayed unspeaking for a long, terrible moment, then sputtered, "You big black nigger! You big black nigger, I ought to cut your heart out for what you done. My brother's laid up like they is, and you still run around here free as a white man. Downright sinful, that's what it is. Huh, why I ought to gun you down right where you sit. You gonna move your truck?" Kaleb Wallace gazed up at Mr. Morrison. Then at his truck, as if trying to comprehend the connection between the two. "The truck in your way, boy? You gonna want to move it?" "I'll move it, all right, when I get good and ready," Mr. Wallace said. He stopped abruptly, his eyes bulging in terrified stare, as Mr. Morrison climbed down from the wagon. Mr. Morrison's long shadow fell over him, and for a breathless second, Mr. Morrison towered dangerously near him. But as the fear grew white on Kaleb Wallace's face, Mr. Morrison turned without a word, peered into the truck. "What's he looking for?" I whispered. "Probably a gun," said Tacy. Mr. Morrison circled the truck, studying it closely. Then he returned to its front and, bending at his knees with his back against the grill, he positioned his large hands beneath the bumper. Slowly, his muscles flexing tightly against his thin shirt and the sweat popping off his skin like oil on water. He lifted the truck in one fluid, powerful motion until the front was several inches off the ground, and slowly walked it to the left of the road, where he set it down as a sleeping child. Then he moved to the rear of the truck and repeated the feat. Kaleb Wallace was mute. Christopher John Littleman and I stared open-mouthed. And even Stacy, who had witnessed Mr. Morrison's phenomenal strength before, gazed in wonder. It took Kaleb Wallace several minutes to regain his voice. We were far down the road, almost out of hearing, when his frenzied cry of hate reached us. "One of these nights, you watch, nigger, I'm gonna get you for what you done. You just watch. One night real soon." When we reached home and told Mama and Papa and Big Ma what had happened, Mama said to Mr. Morrison, "I told you before I was afraid for you. And today, Kaleb Wallace could have hurt you and the children." Mr. Morrison looked squarely into Mama's eyes. "Miss Logan, Kaleb Wallace is one of them folks who can't do nothing by himself. He got to have a lot of other folks backing him up, plus a loaded gun. And I knew there wasn't no gun, leastways not in the truck. I checked. But if you stay, he'll get somebody. Then they'll try to take you like you said. Miss Logan, don't ask me to go." Mama reached out, laying a slender hand on Mr. Morrison. "Mr. Morrison, you a part of us now. I don't want you hurt because of us." Mr. Morrison lowered his eyes and looked around the room until his gaze rested on the boy and me. "I ain't never had no children of my own. I think sometimes if I had, I've wanted a son and daughter just like you and Mr. Logan. And grandbabies like these babies of yours. But Mr. Morrison, the Wallaces..." "Mary," Papa said quietly, "let it be." Mama looked at Papa, her lips poised to speak. Then she said no more, but the worried lines remained creased upon her brow.